I'm talking today with attorney David Daggett from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, the Lewis and Daggett firm.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for coming, David.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Very good. And David, I have
Who ordered the weather?
Yeah, I know that's rough in Philadelphia. We do have some problems with weather. I would like you to talk with us today about something that I know is having young people in our family. This texting and driving is very frightening, and you've talked with me a little about that. Will you share some from your point of view about texting and driving?
Sure. It's a little bit of a new wave that's growing geometrically. 5-10 years ago, we didn't worry about texting while driving.
Right.
It was cell phones while driving, and the predecessor to that, when I was growing up, it was eating a hamburger while driving. But it all falls under the same topic of distracted driving. And quite frankly, distracted driving is becoming an epidemic in our country. And in fact, just back in September, the federal government held a distracted driving summit. The reason is because the statistical evidence that is starting to come out is overwhelming.
Yeah.
We have done a pretty good job through society of at least announcing and getting the importance of the drinking while driving issue across.
Right.
And just as a highlight here from the beginning, and I always joke with statistics. I always remember the point of statistics. I screw up the actual statistic, so we have to apologize to your audience.
We'll take that into consideration
in advance. But one study, I believe it was out of the University of Utah, showed that texting while driving is 8 times as dangerous as drunk driving.
Oh my goodness, that's unbelievable.
So it's distracted driving, and it's interesting because as these issues come to society, there's all sorts of learning going on. But part of it is, and I think we all have to be aware of this. This isn't just a young people problem.
No, it's not.
And what we need to become aware of is our brain, for most people, is fairly linear in function. It's the best computer ever invented, but it typically works in one avenue at a time. It doesn't work in multiple avenues at a time. So, and there's various studies. University of Utah's done the study. Closer to home, close to where I live, Virginia Tech, they have an engineering department. Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, where I am, has a medical school. They have combined some of their efforts. And it's a collaborative project. Yeah. But a recent study out of Virginia Tech, and again, I don't remember the exact statistics, but it was that using a cell phone was in the neighborhood of 6 times more dangerous than just driving alone.
Wow.
But then you add texting to it. I mean, that's the new phenomenon.
It really is.
And the texting while driving has just ramped that up to a new level. That texting while driving it's something like 23 times more dangerous than just driving.
23 times?
23 more times.
Oh.
And I don't know if you're allowed to take math from one study to another, but you got 23 times more dangerous than just driving.
Yeah.
You have the other study 8 times more dangerous than drunk driving. We have a problem out here.
Yeah.
Who hasn't gone down the road? We see people on cell phones all the time.
Right.
We're starting to see the texting all the time.
Right.
If you take your eyes off the road for as little as 5 seconds, just 5 seconds, you are facing major disaster.
Yeah.
Major disaster.
Yeah.
And I think it's an education opportunity. It's a law enforcement. The reason for the summit in the federal government was, do we need to take legislative action?
Right.
Regarding distracted driving.
Right, which they have with the cell phones. That a lot of places
it's starting to. It's starting to, and it's starting to with texting.
Yeah.
But it happens. I mean, you drive down the road, you see it everywhere you go. One of the most dramatic things that I have seen is over in Britain. I was thinking it was Ireland, but somewhere in the British Empire, was a public service announcement on texting while driving.
Right. We
And
have that.
We're going
to
to try to show
yeah,
just a brief
right.
portion of the clip.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I'm not sure you should show the whole clip.
Yeah, I agree.
It is.
I agree.
It is devastating.
It is.
And it's gut wrenching.
Yeah.
But what it shows is 4 young ladies in a car. The driver text messages, and they get in just a catastrophic wreck.
Yeah.
And the devastation that can be caused, and the harm to children and families, it's just devastating.
Yeah.
It's a problem we have.
You know what? Let's actually show just a portion of that clip.
My mate Jules fancies you. Cass. It's not even funny now. Let me just get his number.
I mean, I don't know about you, but that actually just makes me sick at my stomach.
It does. It does.
It really is. I want to ask you something, though, because you mentioned education. What do you see? How can we protect our young people? How can we make them aware of how incredibly dangerous this is and the ramifications of this?
Well, I think there's my personal belief on affecting young people, whether it's the drinking issue, whether it's distracted driving, whether it's texting while driving, there's 3 things that we have to do. We have to, number 1, make them aware of what the problem is. That there was a TV show, I don't remember whether it was 2020 or 60 Minutes a few years back, where they put a hidden video camera in the car with teenagers who were doing everything right, and they went out driving, and it was scary. And they didn't know it. And they interviewed the teenagers after they came back. Do you think you did a good job driving? Yeah, I did a great job driving. Well, when you're young, driving for young people is the most dangerous thing you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're talking to young people, we talk straight to them. That there's a lot of education on sex, on AIDS, on drugs, on those sort of things. What nobody's doing is talking about the most dangerous thing. The most dangerous thing a teenager can do is get behind the wheel of a car.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Actually, the most dangerous thing you can do is get in the passenger seat with a teenager driving.
Right, yeah.
So it's a very dangerous thing. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
But point number 1, awareness.
Yeah.
They have to be aware of the dangers they face. And that awareness has to be constant. It has to come from internet TV shows.
Yeah.
It has to come from guys in suits.
Yeah.
It has to come from people in uniform, teachers, medical people. I think all of us have to do that. We have to wrap our arms around the issue to make our young people aware of the problems that they're facing, the dangers that they're facing. Number 2 is create an atmosphere of positive peer pressure. They have to encourage each other to be safe.
Yes.
Now remember, this isn't just a young person problem.
It's not.
So those are the folks out here listening.
Yeah.
We're talking about, this is for adults too.
Yeah.
Point 1, awareness. Adults, be aware of the dangers out there.
Yeah.
Number 2, positive peer pressure. For young people, you have to encourage and support each other. For adults, we have to encourage and support our young people, but we got to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
They say the old joke on how do you influence young people. There's 3 ways: example, example, and example.
Right.
So we got to be an example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awareness, positive peer pressure, and then these things are continual. We just don't do it. And okay, we've done an internet TV show on distracted driving, and we've solved the problem. No, we have to do it every day. Each of us in our own way. We have to wrap our arms around the problem as a community, and take steps forward to try to solve the problem.
Yeah.
So the 3 steps are awareness, positive peer pressure, and then community support on an ongoing basis. And that's what we have to do.
That's great because exactly what we're seeing is young people have no idea. They just don't have any concept of how unbelievably dangerous, treacherous it is to be texting while you're driving.
Yes.
They don't realize it. So educating them. Let me just ask you one more thing about that video because it is so really horrifying. What do you think? I have mixed emotions as to whether or not that is something good for young people to see. Do you have a thought on that?
I personally think it's good for them to see.
Okay.
It's interesting. We can give straight talk about sex. We can give straight talk about AIDS. We can give straight talk about all these issues in society that, your mother and grandmother wouldn't want to hear.
Right.
Well, anybody can hear the message on distracted driving.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You're right. David.
we need to talk
yeah,
about it.
Thank you so much. Very valuable. Thank you for being my guest today.
Thanks for inviting me. Next time, better weather.
That's right. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.